Police reform across our country. We've seen the protests, the terrible murders of George Floyd and Breonna Taylor. So sad, and clearly Black Lives Matter, right? We have seen that predominantly these murders that take place by police are geared toward Black citizens. We want to, I think it's a time of reckoning in our country right now where all of us need to stand up and say, we want racial justice. We're tired of racial injustice. So I was honored to sign on to the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. I think that bill, it does a lot to instill more confidence in the citizenry across the country. You know, police are made to wear lapel cameras, no chokeholds, taking away some of the frightening things that Black citizens and people of color have experienced through the years. You know, when I think about it, the George Floyd murders happened in Minneapolis. In 1968, the American Indian movement was started in that very city because of police brutality toward Native Americans. Right. So it's something that we all know too well. It's time for us to take a different course, to engage in more community policing. I was able to walk the beat with Albuquerque Police Department officers for the ECHO program, which I think is an amazing program right here in downtown Albuquerque. It connects people with the services they need. I'd like to see that more than just throwing people in jail, perhaps. But I think that working on those community efforts would really make a difference for our city and for our state.
Do you support the idea of changing qualified immunity? Does that need a change in your view?
Well, I think that, I mean, look, it is, I think it does need to change. We have seen, I mean, look at the murders that have happened thus far. So many of those murders did not have to happen. I think with enhanced police training and all of the other issues that we'd like to see police departments have the tools for, perhaps murders will go down. And qualified immunity won't necessarily be a big issue. We would like to see that happen. We would like to see more tools that police officers can use instead of violence right out of the gate.
Right. As you know, Operation Legend is in town, so to speak. It's been part of the program from the administration, multiple cities, but Albuquerque is included. First off, your opinion of Operation Legend, is it effective? Is it an effective crime tool? Do you support it or not support it?
So I want to, Operation Legend, it just came off the heels of the federal officers in cities like Portland. Right. Everybody was scared of those officers, unidentified in unmarked cars, picking people up off the streets and absconding them in unmarked vans and driving away. That was a really frightening thing that Americans had to watch on TV. And so when Operation Legend was set to come to Albuquerque, of course we're going to be worried about people's civil rights and making sure that they're going to operate in a fair and just manner, and a legal manner, I should say. I think that Operation Legend, I would have liked to seen it more inclusive. I would have liked to seen Mayor Keller at the table instead, and the Albuquerque Police Department. Right. Federal officers should be working to be inclusive with all of the, we have city, we have state, we have county, we have tribal police, we have the BIA police here in the state. I think they should have had an opportunity to all weigh in on the program and how it was going to go instead of just having one sheriff as the contact person. Right. So I think that future programs such as that, I'd like to see more input from folks on the ground to ensure that it's not going to violate people's civil rights, that it's not going to racially profiled people. So we'll see in the end if it was successful.
One of the biggest issues to me is crime. I mean, we have to tackle our crime problems.
Right.
CD1, Albuquerque is the heart of CD1, but CD1 is a mix of community. We have agriculture, farming, and we have urban areas. But one of my priorities is to work with our federal partners to tackle our crime issues. I think that's one of the biggest problems we have. We talk about, diversifying our economy, getting businesses to come here, but that's not going to happen in a high crime demographic. I mean, when you look at Albuquerque, we're considered nearly 4th in the nation for violent crime.
Right.
That's why President Trump sent Operation Legend and Operation Relentless Pursuit here. Working in law enforcement, Jean, I've worked with federal agents on various issues, and back in the 90s, we worked with operations just like that to tackle our gang problems, to tackle drug trafficking, to tackle violent crime. So these aren't unusual operations. I want to continue to see that happen, and I want to continue to get federal funding for our law enforcement, for training, for collaboration to tackle these issues.
On that note, police reform is a big issue right now. Are there
Yes.
any specific types of reform that you would support?
I will always support training for law enforcement. I think that is a given. We have to do that. And we have to have better recruitment efforts. We see that law enforcement agencies across the country are having difficulty with recruitment efforts. And when you have trouble with recruitment efforts, you lower the standards. And I think that's one of the problems we've seen across the nation. When I was with the Albuquerque Police Department, I helped work on accreditation for our department. And at that time, we were one of the premier law enforcement agencies in the Southwest. And I think that's one of the things that I would like to do when I'm in Congress is work on accreditation for law enforcement across the nation, especially here in New Mexico, because that's who I'm serving. But I think that's going to be a huge issue to tackle. And definitely training. That is something we need to focus on immensely.
Do you support a minimum threshold for education for officers? Meaning, is there a certain level of education that you feel is appropriate to become a police officer?
I became a police officer, graduated from high school, worked for several years for the federal government, and then applied to the Albuquerque Police Academy. I consider myself a great recruit. I did a good job with the police department. I was given several accommodations throughout my career. I loved working in law enforcement. I think recruiting efforts are really the focus in making sure you put officers through the proper process of recruiting and the proper testing is done. That's how you get really, really good recruits. A lot of times people want to say, oh, well, we want mandatory 2 years college education, or we want mandatory, degrees for law enforcement officers. But, we're just not that kind of community, in my opinion. I think having an officer come from the local community, I was born and raised here. I lived here all my life, graduated from our schools here, and went into the police academy. And I didn't see, I've seen a lot of officers do the same, and I don't see that as a problem. Okay. I think it reverts back to, like what I told you, training. Training as you go through the law enforcement process and recruiting the right officers is key.
Do you think we need to reform qualified immunity for officers? What's your opinion on that?
No, I really feel like we could probably take a look at a few things in the qualified immunity arena and strengthen them. And that's my personal opinion. I worked in law enforcement as a commissioned policewoman for 30 years, Jean, and it's not like it's anything unusual. Elected officials have qualified immunity, judges, prosecutors. This isn't anything unusual. I think that, when an officer is operating in good faith within their policies and procedures, they should be covered under qualified immunity. That's important.